Process of Recombinant DNA Technology podcast. Recombinant DNA technology involves several steps in a specific sequence, such as isolation of DNA, fragmentation of DNA by restriction into nucleases, isolation of a desired DNA fragment, ligation of the DNA fragment into a vector, transferring the recombinant DNA into the host, culturing the host cells in a medium at large scale, and extraction of the desired product. Let us examine each of these steps in some details. Number 1. Isolation of the genetic material, that is DNA. Recall that nucleic acid is the genetic material of all the organisms without exception. In majority of organisms, this is deoxyribonucleic acid or DNA. In order to cut the DNA with restriction enzymes, it needs to be in pure form, free from other macromolecules. Since the DNA is enclosed within the membranes, we have to break the cell open to release DNA along with other macromolecules such as RNA, proteins, polysaccharide, and also lipids. This can be achieved by treating the bacterial cells, plant or animal tissue with enzymes such as lysozyme for bacteria, cellulase for plant cells, chitinase for fungus. You know that genes are located on long molecules of DNA intertwined with proteins such as histones. The RNA can be removed by treatment with the ribonuclease, whereas the proteins can be removed by treatment with the protease. Other molecules can be removed by appropriate treatments, and purified DNA ultimately precipitates out after the addition of chilled ethanol. This can be seen as collection of fine threads in the suspension. Number 2. Cutting of DNA at specific locations. Restriction enzyme digestions are performed by incubating purified DNA molecules with the restriction enzyme at the optimal conditions for the specific enzyme. Agarose gel electrophoresis is employed to check the progression of a restriction enzyme digestion. DNA is a negatively charged molecule, hence it moves towards the positive electrode or anode. The process is repeated with the vector DNA also. The joining of DNA involves several processes. After having cut the source DNA as well as the vector DNA with a specific restriction enzyme, the cutout gene of interest from the source DNA and the cut vector with the space are mixed and ligase is added. This results in the preparation of recombinant DNA. Number 3. Amplification of gene of interest using PCR. PCR stands for polymerase chain reaction. In this section, multiple copies of the gene or DNA of interest is synthesized in vitro using two sets of primers, that is, small chemically synthesized oligonucleotides that are complementary to the regions of DNA, and the enzyme DNA polymerase. The enzyme extends the primers using the nucleotides provided in the reaction and the genomic DNA as a template. If the process of replication of DNA is repeated many times, the segment of DNA can be amplified to approximately billion times, that is, 1 billion copies are made. Such repeated amplification is achieved by the use of thermostable DNA polymerase, isolated from a bacterium Thermus aquaticus, which remain active during the high temperature induced denaturation of double-stranded DNA. The amplified fragment of the desired can now be used to ligate with a vector for further cloning. Number 4. Insertion of recombinant DNA into the host cell or organism. There are several methods of introducing the ligated DNA into recipient cells. Recipient cells, after making them competent to receive, take up DNA present in its surrounding. So, if a recombinant DNA bearing gene for resistance to an antibiotic, for example ampicillin, is transferred into E. coli cells, the host cells become transformed into ampicillin resistant cells. If we spread the transformed cells on agar plates containing ampicillin, only transformants will grow. Untransformed recipient cells will die. Since due to ampicillin resistance gene, one is able to select a transformed cell in the presence of ampicillin. The ampicillin resistance gene in this case is called selectable marker. Number 5. Obtaining the foreign gene product. When you insert a piece of alien DNA into a cloning vector and transfer it into a bacterial, plant or animal cell, the alien DNA gets multiplied. In almost all recombinant technologies, the ultimate aim is to produce a desirable protein. Hence, there is a need for the recombinant DNA to be expressed. The foreign gene gets expressed under appropriate conditions. The expression of foreign gene in host cells involves understanding many technical details. After having cloned the gene of interest and having optimized the condition to induce the expression of the target protein, one has to consider producing it on a larger scale. Can you think of any reason why there is a need for larger scale production? If any protein encoding gene is expressed in a heterologous host, it is called a recombinant protein. The cells harboring cloned genes of interest may be grown on a small scale in the laboratory. The cultures may be used for extracting the desired protein and then purifying it by using different separation techniques. The cells can also be multiplied in a continuous culture system, wherein the used medium is drained out from one side while fresh medium is added from the other to maintain the cells in their physiological most active log or exponential phase. This type of culturing method produces a larger biomass leading to higher yields of desired protein. Small volume cultures cannot yield appreciable quantities of products. To produce in large quantities, the development of bioreactors where large volumes 100 to 1000 liters of culture can be processed was required. Thus, bioreactors can be thought of as vessels in which raw materials are biologically converted into specific products, individual enzymes, etc., using microbial plant, animal, or human cells. Our bioreactor provides the optimal conditions for achieving the desired product by providing optimum growth conditions, that is, temperature, pH, substrate, salts, vitamins, and oxygen. The most commonly used bioreactors are of stirring type, which are shown in figure 11.7. A stirred tank reactor is usually cylindrical or with a curved base to facilitate the mixing of the reactor contents. The stirrer facilitates even mixing and oxygen availability throughout the bioreactor. Alternatively, air can be bubbled through the reactor. If you look at the figure closely, you will see that the bioreactor has an agitator system, an oxygen delivering system, and a foam control system, a temperature control system, pH control system, and sampling ports so that small volumes of the culture can be withdrawn periodically. Now number 6, that is downstream processing. After completion of the biosynthetic stage, the product has to be synthesized, subjected through a series of processes before it is ready for marketing as a finished product. The process includes separation and purification, which are collectively referred to as downstream processing. The product has to be formulated with suitable preservatives. Such formulation has to undergo thorough clinical trials as in case of drugs. Strict quality control testing for each product is also required. The downstream processing and quality control testing vary from product to product. Thank you.